There are books that entertain, books that challenge, and then there are books that disturb, quietly, intellectually, and psychologically. American Psycho by Bret Easton Ellis is one of those rare novels that doesn't rely on shock alone. It uses confusion, ambiguity, and emotional disconnection to unsettle its reader. It presents a world where image replaces identity, where perfection hides emptiness, and where reality itself feels untrustworthy. Whether you see it as a social satire, psychological puzzle, or cultural warning, one thing is certain. It's one of the strangest novels ever published. Today we're counting down the 20 weirdest, most intriguing, and mind-bending facts about American Psycho. Fact 20. Almost never published, American Psycho almost didn't see the light of day. The original publisher, Simon & Schuster, dropped the book just weeks before its scheduled release, citing discomfort with its disturbing narrative tone and emotional coldness. Interestingly, it wasn't the psychological darkness alone that worried them. It was the novel's eerie emptiness, the protagonist's obsession with brands, and the portrayal of extreme emotional detachment in a glamorous corporate world. This made the book feel less like fiction and more like a reflection of unsettling real-life society. Eventually, Knopf, a different publishing company, took the risk and released it in 1991, instantly triggering global debate. Some saw it as a disturbing character study, while others interpreted it as dark satire about consumer culture. Rather than being seen merely as horror or thriller, it became known as a surreal, emotionless portrait of modern emptiness. The intense public reaction ironically helped the book become a global bestseller. In the end, its rejection by one publisher became one of the strangest reasons for its success, proving that sometimes the most unsettling stories are the ones that need to be told. Fact 19. Fashion Catalog Narrative. One of the weirdest things about American Psycho is how often Patrick Bateman pauses to describe fashion and brands. He details complete outfits, not just his own, but of everyone around him, naming designers, fabric textures, and style codes as if reading from a fashion catalog. For some readers, this seemed like dull filler, but for literary critics, it revealed something deeper about Bateman's character. He sees people not as individuals, but as branded objects. His focus on surface appearance isn't just vanity, it's detachment. Ellis intentionally used fashion details to create emotional distance. Every brand mentioned isn't just style, it's symbolism. Ralph Lauren, Armani, Versace, they represent identity as something you wear, not something you feel. Bateman knows every fashion rule, yet fails to recognize basic human emotions. Some scholars even say the real horror of the novel isn't in violence, but in how Bateman feels nothing while meticulously describing expensive suits. It's a chilling metaphor. In a world obsessed with appearances, humanity fades into fabric and logos. Fact 18. Unreliable narrator. Mystery. Patrick Bateman is one of the most unreliable narrators in modern literature. Throughout the novel, he confesses to shocking acts, yet many readers, and even some characters within the story, suggest it might all be imagined. There are scenes where Bateman describes actions that seem physically impossible, or encounters people who act completely unbothered by previously described events. This creates a surreal uncertainty. Are we witnessing reality, delusion, or metaphor? The novel's refusal to confirm what's real and what isn't turns it into a psychological puzzle. Ellis intentionally leaves clues that Bateman might be imagining large parts of his life, including his double identity. Some readers believe nothing happened, and the entire book is a symbolic breakdown of a man emotionally erased by modern society. Others argue the events are real, but ignored by society, because wealth, image, and status protect even the most disturbing behavior. The truth is, there is no final answer, because Bateman himself doesn't seem to know. Fact 17. Emotionally blank character. Patrick Bateman is one of the most emotionally empty characters in literature. He doesn't cry or show empathy. Instead, he memorizes social behaviors, mimicking humanity rather than feeling it. He laughs at the wrong times, repeats scripted responses, and only expresses emotion when discussing designer clothing or music reviews. His emotional detachment isn't just unsettling, it's symbolic. Ellis created Bateman to represent spiritual numbness in a world obsessed with appearance and status. Just like his perfect skin and flawless suit, his personality is a performance. He studies human behavior the same way he studies fashion catalogs, analytically, without connection. Throughout the novel, he tries to feel something, but his attempts are hollow, the scariest part. He knows he feels empty, and he doesn't know why. This makes Bateman not just eerie, but tragic, a man whose life looks perfect, yet feels entirely meaningless. Fact 16. Identities constantly confused. Throughout the book, characters constantly mistake each other for someone else. Random businessmen confuse Bateman with different colleagues, and Bateman himself keeps calling people by wrong names. This isn't just a comic detail, it's symbolic. In a world of identical suits, identical jobs, and identical personalities, there is no real identity. Ellis uses this name confusion to show how easily individuality gets lost in elite corporate culture. Everyone dresses the same, talks the same, and values the same things. They are interchangeable, emotionally replaceable, and practically indistinguishable. In one scene, Bateman tries to confess something shocking, but the person he tells doesn't even react, partly because he doesn't even know who Bateman is. It's not that people ignore him, it's that he has no distinct identity to begin with. He is just another perfect face in a perfect suit. Fact 15. Music reviews in a thriller. One of the most bizarre features of the novel is that Bateman randomly transforms into a music critic. In the middle of scenes, he suddenly gives long, detailed reviews of pop albums from artists like Whitney Houston, Phil Collins, and Huey Lewis and the News. These reviews feel oddly out of place, yet strangely formal, almost like music magazine articles. These sections serve a deeper purpose. Critics say that Bateman uses music reviews to pretend he is emotionally connected to something, even though his understanding of feelings is shallow and artificial. He describes songs about love and passion using stiff, robotic language, showing he understands lyrics, but not emotion. The result is haunting. Bateman tries to borrow emotions from music, since he can't feel them himself. It's not just strange, it's unsettlingly poetic. Fact 14. Corporate world satire. While many interpret American Psycho as psychological horror, Ellis actually described it as a comedy about a world with no soul. At its core, the book is dark satire on Wall Street culture, where wealth, image, and social status overshadow humanity and morality. Nearly every scene focuses on expensive restaurants, designer fashion, and impressing people who don't even care. Characters speak in business jargon even during casual conversations, reducing life to transactions. Feelings are replaced with brand names. Friendships are based on reservations at exclusive places, not emotional bonds. Ellis wanted to show that spiritual emptiness can look glamorous when dressed in Armani, and Bateman represents the absurdity of a world so focused on success, it forgets how to be human. Fact 13. Ellis's real-life inspiration. Patrick Bateman's character was partly inspired by real people Ellis met during his time in New York. He observed certain Wall Street professionals who seemed emotionally distant, hyper-competitive, and eerily obsessed with appearances. Some spoke in rehearsed phrases, lacking natural emotional reactions. They weren't threatening, but they were unsettling. Ellis imagined, what if someone took corporate coldness to the absolute extreme? What happens when success and image become everything, and empathy becomes nothing? That question led to Patrick Bateman. Instead of creating a monstrous figure, Ellis created a disturbingly ordinary one because the emptiest people don't always act extreme. Sometimes they just fit in perfectly. Fact 12. Story without emotion. One strange literary element is that American Psycho avoids emotional language. Unlike most first-person novels, Bateman rarely uses words like sad, angry, or happy. Instead, he writes about surface-level descriptions, colors, textures, objects, clothing, and routines. His feelings are nearly erased. This is intentional. Ellis wanted to strip away emotional depth to create a chilling sense of emptiness. Bateman is not an evil character. He is an empty one. His world is filled with objects, not emotions. His descriptions feel like artificial intelligence trying to explain human life, technically accurate, but spiritually hollow. This absence of emotion is what makes the book haunting without being graphic. Fact 11. Reality versus illusion. One of the strangest things about American Psycho is how the line between imagination and reality is constantly blurred. In multiple scenes, Bateman describes actions that appear impossible, yet no one reacts. Prices on bills fluctuate, characters repeat events, and Bateman sometimes sees himself from outside his own body. This creates a dreamlike narrative where even Bateman doesn't fully understand what's real. Some critics say the book isn't about real events, but about corporate isolation, driving him into disconnection from reality. Others say the surreal moments reveal emotional breakdown. Ellis never clarifies, leaving readers inside Bateman's fractured mind, an echo chamber of confusion and vanity. Fact 10. Hated then celebrated. When the novel was first released, both critics and the public responded harshly. Many misunderstood it as simply shocking without recognizing its deeper satirical purpose. However, over time, the novel gained serious recognition among literary scholars as a powerful critique of capitalism, identity, and emotional emptiness. Today, it's studied in universities worldwide, not for shock value, but for philosophical content. It's now categorized alongside George Orwell's 1984 and Kafka's The Trial, as works that examine how humans lose themselves in modern systems. The strangest part? The same book once condemned is now considered artistically profound. Fact 9. Patrick's double identity. Bateman often introduces himself, yet people frequently confuse him with others. Even his closest associates mix up names. This repetition of identity errors symbolizes emotional invisibility. To the world around him, Bateman is just a replaceable face in a flawless suit, a symbol, not a person. Bateman tries to stand out through fashion, money, and material success. But ironically, these things make him even more forgettable. His identity isn't lost, it was never formed. In many ways, he is a metaphor for emotional emptiness in the corporate world, impeccably styled, yet completely invisible. Fact 8. Meaning behind business cards. The famous business card scene became iconic because it reveals deep symbolic meaning. Bateman and his co-workers obsess over tiny details, texture, and paper thickness. These are ordinary objects, but to them, they represent social superiority. Their reactions are not normal. They treat business cards like emotional battlegrounds. This obsession symbolizes how corporate culture transforms identity into branding. Names become logos. Careers replace personalities. The competition isn't just about success. It's about existing through objects because emotions no longer define identity. Fact 7. Origin of the title. The title. American Psycho does not directly describe the story. It represents a cultural metaphor. Ellis explained that American refers to consumerism, branding, and outward image, while Psycho refers to emotional detachment and numbness, not necessarily behavior. So the title isn't just about one character. It's about a society where appearance replaces empathy, where success replaces humanity, and where perfection masks emotional emptiness. Bateman is not the only American psycho. He is just the most carefully dressed one. Fact 6. Influence of 1980s culture. The novel captures the 1980s Wall Street era, a time defined by extreme consumerism, designer fashion, expensive dining, and brand-driven self-worth. Ellis intentionally set the story during this time to show how identity became a product, not a feeling. Bateman's entire personality is built from external influences: magazines, commercials, music reviews, brand advertising, and almost nothing from within. He does not live life, he performs it. His emotions belong to corporations. His identity belongs to brand culture. Fact 5. Movie adaptation. Mysteries. When American Psycho was adapted into a film in 2000, the script preserved the emotional ambiguity, especially the question, did any of it even happen? In fact, some scenes in the movie were intentionally filmed twice, with and without other characters, so viewers would question whether the events were real or imagined. Christian Bale's performance added another layer. He based Bateman's personality on individuals who behaved robotically, using rehearsed linguistic patterns. This made Bateman's character not scary, but disturbingly empty. The movie did not confirm the truth because neither does the novel. Fact 4. Patrick Bateman. Paradox: Patrick Bateman is obsessed with perfection, yet constantly feels invisible. He dresses impeccably, maintains perfect skin, and gives rehearsed social responses, but no one truly recognizes him. That's the paradox. Wealth and success don't make him special. They make him replaceable. His biggest fear is not being disliked, but being unnoticed. His entire identity is a costume that never becomes real. Bateman doesn't fail to be human. He fails to feel human. His character isn't about horror, it's about loneliness. Fact 3. No clear ending. The novel's ending is famous for its emotional emptiness. Bateman tries to confess his actions but is ignored, laughed at, or mistaken for someone else. Whether his actions really happened or not doesn't even matter, because Bateman realizes that in a world obsessed with surface perfection, truth doesn't matter. The final line reads, "This is not an exit." It appears above a nightclub doorway, but has a deeper meaning. Bateman has no exit from emptiness, from emotional numbness, or from himself. Fact 2. Ellis's ambiguous stance. Bret Easton Ellis often gives contradictory answers when asked what really happened in the book. Sometimes he says everything was real. Other times he says nothing actually happened, and it was all symbolic. His most interesting response was, "It doesn't matter. Bateman doesn't know either." That is the core of the novel. Emotional reality is more important than physical events. Whether actions took place or not doesn't change the emotional emptiness at the heart of the story. And that is the real message. Fact 1. A story about emptiness. Many assume American Psycho is a shocking thriller, but critics and scholars argue it's really a story about emotional emptiness. Its true theme is not horror, but the loss of empathy in a world that worships material success. Patrick Bateman is not terrifying because of what he does. He's unsettling because of what he doesn't feel. The book is a metaphor for a world where appearance replaces identity, brand replaces personality, and success replaces humanity. In the end, Bateman isn't a monster. He's a mirror. Closing remarks. American Psycho remains one of modern literature's most chilling and intellectually provocative novels. It offers no easy interpretations and no comfortable answers. Instead, it reflects unsettling truths about identity, loneliness, image, and emotional emptiness in the modern world. Whether you find it disturbing, brilliant, or strangely poetic, its refusal to provide closure or clarity is exactly what makes it unforgettable. This is not just a novel, it's a psychological portrait of a world where style replaces soul. If you've watched this entire video, you've explored 20 of the most fascinating and bizarre truths behind this haunting masterpiece. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of literature's most mind-bending works, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more content exploring the strange intersections between literature, psychology, and the human condition.